Going to be hard opening up the noms next Monday going, geez, where are we sending Fabs this week?
Well, the funny thing is I won't be checking what his rating is on Monday. The handicappers decided, so that'll be a bit different, and it'll be a bit daunting lodging a stable return, I suppose, won't it? He's become such a great mate that it's not even about the wins that he's had. We've had him for so long, and in 10 years, a decade's a long time. People go through a hell of a lot of stuff. A lot of horses come and go in 10 years, but one thing that remains the same is he's always been here.
I don't think it's going to hit me until maybe next week or when things come up. Like Paul normally rings me when he gets nominated and we talk about the horses that are in it and the handicapper, and Mel sends us a message to let us know how Cowboy's going.
He certainly lived tough. It's not a life you'd want to try and repeat for a thing. You're getting all sorts if you did. Sad for Billy more than anyone because he is with him every day. He rides him every day. Now I'm just not looking in the thing, seeing where we're racing next, whereas, with Billy it was every day he was with him. He was the first one he checked in the morning, last one at night. It's just,
The illustrious racing career of Fab's Cowboy has come to an end.
When it comes to horses that have dominated races around the Downs and across regional Queensland, Fab's Cowboy is close to the pick of the bunch.
Australia's winningest racehorse will run his final race this Saturday after an incredible career. Fab's Cowboy is an icon in outback Queensland, racing at 40 tracks across the Sunshine State in his 158 starts.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm all right.
No pressure?
Yeah, shitloads.
Tell us about his early days. He turned up hairy, wasn't much to look at, turned up with a mare who was knee-high to a grasshopper.
Yep, they walked in, they said how good of a judge I am. I said to put him in the top day yard with a round bar, I don't think they'll amount to much. And Paul broke him in, Paul Curran, which he's a pretty good horse breaker, Paul, and no one knows that, but he sort of come to me, what stuck earlier on, probably, I don't know what it was, I didn't think much of him, there's something kept telling us, something in the head. And
they'd come out of really, really tough conditions, everyone was doing it very tough out there, and your livelihood, they had cattle and stock dying, so it's a massive credit to be keeping two racehorses. They aren't even racing yet. They're just hopes and dreams, you're trying to keep alive, and so it was a huge effort to get them through that, and while they were struggling to even be bringing them into a stable and looking to be paying costs for those horses. So they hopped off the float. They were ordinary, and but you could see this fella here, he was under the hair, and you could see he was bit light on, but he was raw bone sort of a horse that had the potential to be a nice type. Did he look like he was going to be a champion? By no means. And I think we made the decision just quietly to put him in the back paddock on a round bale for a little while, because we weren't confident they would amount to much. But you don't mind being proven wrong, do you, in these circumstances?
It became all hands on deck in Julia Creek because Dad was getting
he was away.
Getting some treatment, and the foal ended up in another paddock or another round yard next to Mum, and didn't get the first milk.
Yep. So when I looked out the window, I was like, oh, the legs are not in the right yard. So I raced out there, and she was in the round yard, and he was in the paddock outside. And then it took me maybe half an hour to fight with him because he's such a tough-headed horse, so I had to fight with him to get him back into the round yard. And he was probably 6 hours old, and he was like that strong but still puffing and panting. Got him in, wouldn't drink, and he had collapsed, and the mare was looking after him, and then I rung my Uncle Shorty, and then he rung Grant, and then Grant rung Tenya, and Tenya rung Crowie, and then Crowie rung Shauna, and Shauna rung Alana, and then just everybody turned up, and this was at like 12 o'clock the day he was born, and everyone just helped out.
A very tough period for you, obviously losing Dad, having this horse that Dad had technically some belief in. What were your thoughts and emotions around that?
Well, when Dad passed away, we still had 5 horses. So Cowboy was one, I had a pony, and we had a couple of other just things I would poke around, we would take to the races. I got rid of those, and then Cowboy was just the foal, like, was just a horse to be with my pony. So I had the pony, and Cowboy was just like the company horse to be with him, had no plans on doing anything with him. And then Paul come into it when Dad was still alive. He did a bit of the breaking in and handling. And then when Dad passed away, we thought we'll just send him to Billy. We'll see what happens, see if we can pay a couple of bills.
He meant a lot to Fab too, because he had really big raps on him the whole time. Like, I thought his constitution was no good. I was advising him not to go on with him, and he had very big opinion of the horse, and he judged it pretty well.
He was a good judge, Fab.
Well, he had it right anyway.
Before Fabian died, Bill would go to the races, and he had a lot of time and respect for Fabian, and Fabian would go and have a chat with him, and he happened to say to Bill one day, he said, I'll give you a real good horse one day. And Bill thought, it's just shit chat, people say things like that all the time. And anyways, and before he died, he must have said to Liz, make sure that, whatever they agreed upon, the horse would come to Bevan. And Bill, he honoured his word. So he must have thought deep down that he was going to be something, or maybe he thought giving him to Bill was his best chance to be something, I don't know. But we'll forever be grateful for whatever motivated that decision.
And you trained quite a few horses for the Curran family?
Yeah, and the funny story is, Paul got sick of me in the end. We had the horse going, he'd won about 15, 16, 18 races, and he kept bringing them in. I said, you're going to be disappointed. And he said, how do we know already? I said, you're not going to get another horse like this. He's won 16 or 18 races. I can guarantee you this thing's not going to... And he did get a bit cranky with me. But I think he's realised now we're never going to see, me and Paul are never going to see another horse like this in our stable or under the current ownership banner. So
I don't think any of us will see one like it.
Paul's pretty lucky.
What would Fabian say about him?
I reckon, I don't know if he was still smoking then, with the draw of a cigarette. I knew he did smoke, he'd puff his chest out. Wouldn't say much, but tomorrow he'd have his chest puffed out where it is. Yep.
You and Dad had an amazing affiliation with horses. Your dad, Fabian, he was a racing man through and through, and he was a bushman through and through. Yeah, so he had race horses before I was born and when I was quite young. My mother passed away, so he gave them up. As he's a single father, and then he got, him and my Uncle Terry brought Proud Mark off, they paid a feed bill for Paul. They ended up with him when I was like 15, and then from there they just brought some service fees, won some service fees, brought some mares, and then we eventually had Fab's Cowboy. And then born and bred in Julia Creek, and it's just a general horse story really, from breeding to owning to winning. Well, you undersell it a bit. You made the decision, you had to, over who the mare was going to go to. That's correct. So it was, Dad had won a service fee. Yep, so Air Dance had won several service fees. So Air Dance was the first foal from Cowboy's mother, and he won, we think it was maybe 8 or 9, Billy was saying, but he won 7 straight. And back then, 13, 14 years ago, you would win a service fee as like a first prize. And then we had another top mark foal, and then the last service fee was to top mark for Real Live Woman. And then they gave me a call and they're like, we've got the mare, she's ready to go, however top mark has just died, so you need to pick a stallion. And I was like, Dad's not here, he's on the mail run, I'm 20 years old, what do you mean I have to pick a stallion? They're like, yeah, because she's ready to go now. And I was like, what's the most expensive stud fee you have? And they're like, we have Greenwood Lake, he's 8,800, but you obviously don't have to pay anything. And I was like, he'll do. That one, please. Because back then we couldn't afford that. Like, we were getting these service fees for free. And we had a deal with one of the studs that they would take the mare, because Real Live Woman was a beautiful mare. They would take her to the show and we wouldn't pay adjustment because we obviously didn't have money. So it was like a vice versa thing. And then they sent her home. And then Dad went in for surgery, and before that he called me and he said, just check the round yard because she was due to foal, and there was 8 legs instead of 4. And the story just went from there, really.
We weren't too sure if he would be any good, and then he would gallop around the paddock, and Dad said like he's either going to be really good or really slow, and there's no in between. And it's just sad that he didn't get to see him race, but he could have been a totally different horse. Like there's a lot of things that could have changed. Like if Dad trained him, we might not be here over Billy training him.
Did you get to a point where you thought, well, he's probably going to reach his mark, he's won enough? Was there a point where you just thought, well, you know, maybe he might win, say, 10 or 15, but he continued to win?
Yeah, well, he got to 17 pretty well, and I remember when he got to 17 he had a little stall because Liz was like, oh, he's never going to win more than 17. And
he got to win number 17, and Lizzie had the flag up to say that was going to be enough, you think?
Well, she does like to panic pretty quickly with these things. She was like, oh, because it's been so good, like you just can't stay that good. But then we did also have one like us, Billy had another good horse, Montanus, like he'd won 25 races. He was his most winningest horse he'd had, and I thought, well, it'd be cool if we could knock that record off. And then another cousin, he had a good horse, I think he'd won like 32 races or something. I was like, well, it'd be pretty good if we could knock that record off. And well, when we got to there, then the big prize was at the other end, and it was always one that you just... And he never had that, but even when the 15-month period he didn't win, he still run places. He's still, running second to good horses under big weights. It was never like he got to a point where you think, well, he's finished. He just always... And he's still not now, he's got to retire, that's all, we're happy and we accepted that. But even now, you'd still be thinking, you'd be pretty happy if your open horse was going as well as he is. It actually got very funny after a while when he was getting that good. You just like, the idea changed. Like when you go to race, you're like, can I win? And then when you got that good, you're like, why won't I win? Like, what can go wrong? It was a completely different feeling, which was nearly worse, actually.
Thought of retiring Fabs before?
Yeah, there's been times when he was struggling a little bit, probably when we shifted to, was it Boulder Cone? Everyone was probably up me a bit to retiring, and then I got thinking, we had a few high profile jockeys on him, and I took him to Bundaberg, and I think it was the girl's first rider nearabouts, Girl Wilson.
Rebecca Wilson.
Yep. And she done the job and he won. She won a few on him, and I sort of probably got above myself too much. Tried to get, probably thought both was a bit better than what we were, and we had high profile jockeys on us. I had to get back to basics, and he does go for the kids.
There came a point, sort of a tipping point, maybe start number 6 or 7, where you thought, well, hang on a minute, we might be wasting our time.
Yeah, he didn't. Well, he was unfortunately, when he was going a bit, he did get knocked over in that race, so there was a bit of that, but you just can't feed them forever if they're not going to do anything. And yeah, me and Liz, we sort of decided like we're getting close enough to that point, but he did get the 3rd, which sort of, well, at least it's a check, we're getting somewhere. And then, yeah, then when he went.
So it got to that point where you went, well, we can't really do this anymore, but all of a sudden he said, you need me.
Yeah, no, well, it certainly was. He was the first one. We actually had 3, and the money was out. We said, end of this month, that's it. I did tell Mel and Billy eventually that one day, like long way through, I said he was actually nearly given to you, because if he didn't win that race, we were out. But yeah, he won the first week, and then the other 2 won the next week, or 2 weeks later, and then he's paid the bills ever since. Like, it's been very much a blessing.
Mum and Dad were drovers, and Dad on the weekends used to make a lot of money show jump riding around like the area that he was droving. The Gordons, Mel Gordons, knew had a bit of horse history, and they had race horses, and he ended up started training horses.
Was that your introduction to racing?
Yep, it was in the truck every Saturday. We got to see them horses walk cool, Stormbreaker. Dad had a good horse called Canadian Stone. He had 16 starts for 10 wins. So that was my introduction to it.
Your riding career, short-lived mainly because of weight?
Yep, short-lived. I got in the downs, I think the minimum was 53. I got to 56 kilos, 57. They told me I had to head this way or give up. So bull riding it was again. I was riding bulls before I went jockeying, but I was pretty light framed back when you're 15. And Dad said I was getting hurt a bit, and Dad said that's enough. And I went to get an amateur licence, and that year they shut down. I had to take a professional licence. So I knew it was going to be a lot of sweat and tears, like to keep the weight off me. But once I got to about 56, 57, Stewart sort of pulled up a bit on it. There's a minimum 53, like it's a lot different these days. I'd probably be still going, you know what I mean? Especially if we had Fabs Cowboy on the stable.
You're a true cowboy?
Yep.
Grew up in?
Miles, yep. There's always going to be a cowboy, I thought. Done 3 years of apprenticeship as a jockey, got too heavy. I was back rodeo then, and when rodeo ran out, you had to find a living, so horse training was it.
I was going to say there's probably more money in racing than rodeo.
When you're in your 20s, you don't think that. You know, you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and no one gets hurt and no one dies.
And you say you followed the rodeo circuit?
Yeah, like I was an amateur champion, like a fair few times. They sort of paid me wages for years. Yep. It was a bit like Cowboy though. I'd pick where I was going.
Placed yourself?
Yeah, I was placed very well.
No Vegas or American trips?
No.
Been on a plane?
Twice, I think.
Twice?
Yep, that was it.
Not fussed?
No.
Any bad injuries, bull riding?
Yeah, fair few. Every morning you feel it, like my legs and arms were broken, and my shoulder was separated on a bull called Chainsaw at Mount Isa 1 year, and another bull, probably ended my career, has stood on my back and compressed my lung. Compressed my lung and filled it up with fluid.
Chainsaw was a name that sent chills through the spines of cowboys across the country.
This bull is recognised in Canada, the United States of America, New Zealand and Australia as a freak. Sit up and ride, Cowboy!
Everyone fears him, but in the same principle, he's the bull that everyone wants to ride. You know, if you ride Chainsaw, you get to become, I suppose, one of the elite.
Probably only got on about another 10 bulls after that. I was trying to work out how to get off them before I nodded my head, so the powder was damp.
Fair old career highlight, riding Chainsaw.
Yeah, I wasn't there long. Like I did ride a fair few good bulls, but Chainsaw threw me off in about 1.9 seconds, I reckon, and put me in hospital. So, and he was at his prime when I got on in Chainsaw. Like, yeah, he nearly killed me, I think.
We actually met out at Tambo. He was training for Craig Lee at the time, and I was looking just to make a couple extra dollars, you know, and I'd been on properties and that for the majority of my life, doing always stock work, and you know, always had horses, you know, horses since I was a kid, grew up riding, but I'd never had any association with race horses. We met out there and became friends, and then it built from there, and I went to Longreach, and I was doing Richard Simpson's horses for some time, and then Bill came out there and we sort of joined forces and away we went. Then we decided that, you know, we might have a crack, go back into Miles, to property that the family had there, and the rest is history. Formed Johnson Racing. Like, you know, Bill had only just sort of a couple of mates that were his owners prior to that, and we discussed it and thought, well, we were getting a bit of support behind us and thought we could maybe make this a bit bigger and better, and yeah, went from there.
We'd been through a marriage each and got together and went back to Miles and based there, and probably really started Johnson Racing like we had to. We had young kids and we had to knuckle down, and you're lucky I married the brains, I reckon.
They think they're a bit smart, they call me the general. Anyways, someone's got to captain the ship, eh? The stable motto has always been for Johnson Racing to love the horse first and love the game second. Yeah. So it's not all about just, you know, it's not about making dollars. It's you got to love what you do when you're putting in the time and the hours that we do with these animals. And you know, some of them have been with us for a long time. That we've got huge bonds with them. So as I said, their safety is always paramount. But yeah, we have a job to do. It'll just be tough trying to keep in the back of your mind that, yeah, there's a lot of laughs that have happened this week, from him getting shod to his last morning of track work, Dakota and I saddled him up this morning, and we realised we wouldn't be doing that again, except for tomorrow. So yeah, it's it'll be a tough day, but like I said, you got to be professional and man up and do your job.
What is the trick to Billy Johnson's team?
Probably patience, not trying to break records in work and trying to place them where they can win, and travelling so you can win races.
And I guess he's a good advertisement for placement. His career wouldn't be what it is today if you hadn't placed him as well as you have.
Yeah, that's right. And you sort of got to sit down. Sometimes he would have been nominated for 3 races on the same week, and we'd always take the easiest way out if we thought where we could win.
So it'd be nothing for you to go, well, there's a race at Gladstone, 700 k's away, or there's one 50 k's down the road. Gladstone suits better, so you and Fabs, off we go.
Yeah, we'd go past a meeting to get to another one, and probably camp somewhere around that meeting that night before.
This week it's been a lot of last shoeing,
yep.
Last track work we
yep.
saw this morning.
Yep.
Does it stick in your head? Is it something that's relevant, or you just haven't thought about it too much?
Not yet.
The Saturday be tough.
Yeah.
What's going to stick in your head the most about him? Is there a win, or is it just something that happens every day?
I'd say his attitude to life, and you'll see him Saturday. He'll front up, and he's going to be bloody 6 years younger than some of them, but he'll front up. There's no backing down with him.
You're a big part of his placement because you and Billy can't be everywhere together at the same time.
Yeah, neither one of us were there, unfortunately, when he broke the record. That was a little bit dampening, but you know, as much as we love Cowboy and George, as much as we love him, we can't always be everywhere with him, and we've got a responsibility to all the other owners that make up our team as well. So yeah, there's been times that we've missed some of the highlights, but we regroup Sunday around the fire pit and celebrate them.
You've had some very good horses over the time. What is it with him, his toughness, or just what he means to everybody?
He's a battler. At the end of the day, who doesn't love, you know, a battler? I think years ago, when I first really fell in love with racing, even though I'd been doing it for some time, but we were watching, there used to be a show that used to come on called Remember When, and we'd always watch that show, and there was a story that came on about a horse called Silky Sullivan, who was a great horse during the Depression, when people were really, you know, obviously doing it tough, and he was a nothing horse, and I think they put him in a claiming race or something, you know, trying to remember, but he got that far back out of his ground, and you know that he wasn't even in the frame, and for some reason on that particular day the cameraman had an insight to scan back, and you know the horse came from nowhere, and you know has just swamped him. It was phenomenal, the lengths that he'd given them head start. And anyways, he became a crowd favourite. Where back then the poor used to, you know, get to the infield, and they'd had nothing, you know, but they'd be in there probably putting their last dime on to back this horse, and he was just a champion for the underdogs. You know, he during a tough time he uplifted them and gave them some kind of hope.
Sullivan is third. Here comes Silky Sullivan on the outside.
So, I mean, people say he's just an old bush horse, but I kind of feel throughout his career there's been times that, you know, he's done that.
Ogie knows when you're down and out, he'll lift. Even when Paul and Liz and all the Currents and they're down, like they were massive droughts and floods they went through, and in a certain time while the Cowboys had been in, he'd lift, Yep.
So he knows when people rely on him.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Win, lose or draw, he owes nobody anything?
Oh, no. You know, like tomorrow, he's only really going around for the people. You know, to say see you later. It's not to win, not to prove anything. I don't think he's got anything left to prove. So, yeah, I think he's just going around to give them all a high five, eh?
Probably the fire might get a run tomorrow night rather than Sunday.
I dare say it will. We'll come home tomorrow night. There's always plenty of work to be done back here, so yeah, they hopefully everyone have a great time at Longreach tomorrow night. They enjoy the day and the night over there. I'm sure it'll be a great one, but yeah, we'll come back here and have a beer with Cowboy. I'd like to say he's got a soft spot for the kids, probably romanticising it a bit. As I said, I just think he's a bit belligerent probably at the end of the day, and he likes to do his own thing and take control of a situation, and he assesses pretty quickly the level that they're at when we leg them on, and you'll see throughout his career, you know, he may have had the same apprentice riding for so long, and I don't think it's about their dwindling claim. I just feel like as they're advancing as a rider, becoming more progressive, you know, he knows that and says, well, you know, this partnership's over, so we got to find another kid.
You're a bit too neat for me.
Yeah, that's right. You know, you're doing too good. You're having too much of a say on what's going on here.
What does Fabs do with J-Mac on board?
Probably 600, he start going backwards, I reckon. He did it with Corey Bales the other day at Mount Isa. So again, a pretty ordinary race, we thought he'd win. He got the 600, he was going backwards for a long way till he dropped the reins and he sort of come in the last bit. And Corey said, glad that was over.
What is it about the kids? What does he likes to just take them for the ride? Is that what his goal is?
He's I don't know if it's his goal, but if you stand over him, he sort of doesn't go. He likes to just do it his own way. Like he can be leading with a kid or way back and finish off. And they sort of got to let him do what he wants to do and just click him up to 600. I don't know what it is.
To date, before today, he's had 60 jockeys. He's had 38 apprentice jockeys. He's had 21 wins, and of those 21 wins, 17 have been apprentices. Of the 17 apprentices who have won, 7 of those have been 4 kilo claimers, and of those 4 kilo claimers, 5 of them have had their first ever win on him.
Becky's got a strong affiliation with females. You've done the stats on that.
Yes, he does. Credit where credit's due. Peter Flynn, the caller from Roma, who I spoke to on the podcast, he picked that one up. I didn't notice that one. So of the Fab's 54 wins, 32 have been ridden by females. So I guess in this day and age it's more common for females, but back when he started in 2015, 16, 17, when he was at his peak, it probably was much less common for so many females to win on him.
An interesting one is his record with senior riders. He doesn't like senior riders?
Yeah, so of his 21 wins, only 4 jockeys have been senior jockeys. But interesting, there's a stat within a stat there. Dakota Graham is the only jockey that has won on him. He has both an apprentice and a senior, 2 ends of his career. But as she said to me in my podcast, she was only allowed to ride him in that last one because it was a comeback and she was too unfit to be able to get it over the top of him. So
your daughter Dakota has probably gone full circle with him over many years, from start to comebacks.
She's going to hate me for saying this. Anyways, I couldn't have been more proud, I'll say that first, that she was the one that broke the record on Fab's Cowboy. I thought that he probably owed her that, to be honest with you. She's been with him from day dot on the rare, you know, those occasions when Bill hasn't been able to ride him, or, you know, she's also done a fair share of gallops on him when we used to take him into the track. She'd ride him in those track gallops, and look, she's been dedicated to keeping the horse, you know, sound and healthy all these years. The day that we put her on, he'd stopped running for her. You know, as I said, she'd just become too accomplished, too good, and he hadn't been running for her. And he'd still, you know, she was smart enough to try and you know, coax him there, and, you know, coddle him along a little bit. He was going fairly. But the day we decided to put her on for the record breaker, she hadn't been racing riding a lot, so she probably wasn't very match fit. She was a bit heavy. It'd been a bit, she'd be a little bit uncoordinated. And I said to Bill, I said, he might think she's just an apprentice back on there again. I said, it could be the winning combination. I said, she's gonna knock up. I said, she won't, you know, be too forceful. And I said, it could just work. And anyways, it paid off, and she likes to think she styled up on him and it was all good, but I guarantee you she was heaving. She knocked up. So, yeah, it worked anyway.
I got quite a few rides on him and I did get 8 wins on him. A couple of times I just, even when I still had a claim, didn't get to ride him. We had another apprentice too, Aiden. He had 8 wins on him as well. Was never about who could ride him better and who got the ride. It was more just who was going where that weekend that got to kind of ride him. It wasn't ever a fight about it.
What's it been like growing up with Fab's Cowboy?
Great in a way, having a horse of his calibre in our stable. Also stressful. If anything happens, is the Cowboy all right? Or you know, make sure nothing happens to the Cowboy. Like I said on a podcast I recently did, if everyone was going away and we didn't have the most experienced person left at home and Cowboy wasn't racing, he didn't get left at home, Bill would take him on a road trip with him. So whether he raced or not, he got to go just so Bill could make sure he got the best care and looked after him, but yeah.
And tell us about that day at Mount Isa. That was only this year, so it's pretty fresh that he brought up and beat Walk Cool's record of most number of wins. It would have been there in your mind during the race and prior to the race?
Yeah, it definitely was. I again was having a comeback and he had enough weight for me and I was always going to be a bit unfit, so I was the right person for the job on the day.
Fab's Cowboy, down too good and Primal Scream, so 400 to go, they put a gap in him, Full of Fire in front, and then Richard Wiki, and then Splash is starting to weaken, down too good, Fab's Cowboy starting to come now, Full of Fire in front of Splasher, and then Richard Wiki, Fab's Cowboy, and down too good to the outside, Full of Fire in front, here comes the Cowboy, the Cowboy's coming, Fab's Cowboy racing to history, and Fab's Cowboy, the greatest winner in Queensland racing.
It's just nice that to win on him this year and to have won on him when I was also a 4 kilo kid and like I'm a senior now, so it's just nice if you look up the timeline. So.
And is he the sort of horse that makes you want to make those comebacks and get back into racing?
Yeah.
Get back into riding?
It is, especially if you ride a horse like that track work. Like you can ride a couple track work and even if they've won a race or two, they just don't feel as good as a good horse. And it's just, even if you kind of had enough of track work, if you get put on a couple of nice ones to work, it just makes you actually want to ride them, so yeah.
As you mentioned, you and Aiden Thompson hold the record for the most number of wins on him. Is there still something inkling in the background that you'd wished you'd got number 9?
Yeah, I was on 7 for a very long time. Like, Aiden hasn't rode for us for a couple of years now, so he was always in front of me all the time, and up until we won the record, beat the record, that I actually got to be equal. Would have been nice to ride him this last time to see if I could get 9, but obviously we're always looking for a claim.
Yeah, now that I can sit back and sort of see what this horse has actually done, and how big of an event it was coming into that last race of his. It's very special. But to share the most winners on this one in particular horse with Dakota is very special, because we're apprenticed together probably 3/4 throughout my apprenticeship. So yeah, to share that was really good. I learned a lot from riding Fabs. He was quite a hard horse to ride track work. I remember a few of the days that I had to ride him when Bevan was away, taking horses elsewhere. And yeah, I learned a lot them days. But also being able to go to the races, and you're pretty confident, give me a lot of confidence.
Billy and Mel, what do they mean to you and your career?
Yeah, they've done so much for me. Obviously, started out there with no jockey licence, no strappers licence, nothing. Worked my way from the bottom to the top, and I think it's really given me a massive kickstart to where I am today.
Xenifer, it shares the gift. Tycoon Evie on the outside. Xenifer Lake the inside. Also running home Zing down the outside. Tycoon Evie's grabbed the lead. Zing's out after Tycoon Evie. Tycoon Evie has won.
All right, let's have a chat with winning jockey Aiden Thompson. What a superb ride. We were just trying to deliberate. Is that your first Group 3 or you've had a Group 3 before?
First group winner. Very exciting. Yeah, it just goes to prove, like, I don't get very many opportunities, very many rides, but just keep working and good stuff does come around.
It's obviously a horse that's going to be steeped in history for what he's been able to do, especially in the modern era of racing. 54 wins is unheard of in this day and age, and look, it's a thrill to be part of that in his first breaking his maiden. I was hoping to get out there and ride his last start, but just the logistics weren't going to work, which was unfortunate. But look, they've been good trainers towards me and helped me through my career, and I'm glad to be able to be part of that history.
I'm a part of the family at the Johnsons, and just as a team effort, I think it just means so much because I just feel so connected to them. Without them, I would not be where I am. All the way from my first winner to putting me on a horse in the Country Cup final in Brisbane, they've been massive supporters for me and my career. 47, 48 and 49, and I really wanted to ride the 50, but I just couldn't quite get there with the 1.5 kgs that I had left on my claim. I was lucky enough to ride him at Gladstone. My first winner, and probably because I wasn't riding real flash, that's why he went so good. I believe he broke his own track record that day, so amazing.
But this is going to be his 47th win. You're seeing a magnificent horse, ladies and gentlemen. Babs Cowboy wins and wins it very easily by about 5 lengths. Gives a young jockey his first winner.
And then, yeah, Moorumba to win by 10, and the stablemate was actually taking me on quite a long way out, and at the 600 I just left him, and he just kept getting further and further away. So, no, he's a freak of an animal.
But Fab's Cowboy is going right away. It's going to be 48 wins for Fab's Cowboy. Give him a hand of applause, ladies and gentlemen. 48 wins. Fab's Cowboy bolts in. Fab's Cowboy by a long way.
You always hear that he was always the apprentice's horse, so you always want to try and do good by the horse and by Billy and Mel. I remember when Billy grabbed the saddle, he asked if I had a winner yet. I said, no, not yet. He said, you're about to. And true to his word, it happened.
It was the first time that I rode Fab, and I won on him. It was a lowly old Class B at Gladstone. Billy and Mel they gave me 6 rides that day, I think, from memory, and 4 of them won, including old Blue Jest as well as Fab. So the old Warrior, that was a long time ago, and it was pretty much the kick-off point. Geez, it feels like yesterday when you ride an old war horse like that. To break the half century of wins, mate, that's unheard of. It certainly hasn't happened in my lifetime. Probably won't happen in my lifetime again. I can remember the old stories of the old timers saying it, before records were really kept of horses doing it. But mate, it's the modern era. This is, normally they're weighted out of it, or they usually get injured. Like from what I remember, he had legs on him like wrought iron posts. Like you couldn't hurt him. But he was well managed, well loved, and he's earned his spot down there at Living Legend, in my opinion.
Legend of the bush. I think he is bush racing, and I think a lot of the time when you think of bush racing in Queensland, you think of Fab's Cowboy. I learned that there is horses that know what they're at races for, and you're better off sometimes just leaving it up to them, having them happy, and they'll do the rest for you because they want to be there. And sometimes horse actually does know more than you. I think just because how much he means to country racing in Queensland, just to be a part of his story is really special. I remember the first time I rode him, obviously I'd already heard a lot about him because I was doing that bush circuit. And I was very nervous. I think it was the first time I'd been really nervous for a race, just to be able to be a part of his story and to be a part of history.
What does it mean to give these apprentices the opportunity? It must be rewarding.
It is rewarding. We've I don't know how we go with our kids, but we're pretty good with kids at the stable. Like, we had a lot of runaway, tearaway, like off the rail kids. If you were riding in Brisbane now, they probably think I'm a bit of a turd, but they were sent here by their fathers or their mother to be straightened up. And take my hat to them, probably had a blue and kicked a few of them up the arse, but 2 of them are leading riders in Brisbane now. So, and Cowboy probably. Yes, 5 minutes.
We've formed long-standing associations with some of the jockeys, that we've engaged to ride Cowboy. We've used them across the board on other horses. It's also been very satisfying to watch some of those jockeys, progress through their careers, and to know that, as I said, that they started off out here riding for Johnson Racing in the country, utilising that claim. It's a credit to their masters that, a lot of them too, that allowed them to come out and some of them trekked the miles with us. Mignonette Kennedy, she come out and stayed at Birdsville with us, and these are big things for these coastal girls to be out there. And so, as I said, but Ange Jones, it's by no means do we try and claim to fame with her, but as I said, she done the miles travelling out to the country, and we're very proud to see her accomplishments in Brisbane and how she's continued on with her career. It's pretty satisfying for us. It's a good place for apprentices to come. There'll never be another Fabs Cowboy, but I'll tell you what, there'll always be big weights that I can foresee, so there's always a need for those apprentices to keep venturing out, and they'll learn some great things, and hopefully they can end up like the Ange Jones.
What's it going to be like last day?
I think it's going to be very, very emotional. Happy and exciting, but I think still very emotional, yeah.
Who'll have the most tears tomorrow? You or Dakota? Or Billy?
Yeah.
Could be Billy.
Yeah, we'll see, hey? We'll see. Anyway, I have to pull out the hankies.
Do you reckon you'll cry?
I don't know.
Well, is there going to be tears from Dennis tomorrow?
Probably, I don't know yet.
It's a very special day, celebrating one of the bush's best horses and one of Australia's, well, he is Australia's most winning horse of all time, 54 wins, 159th start today. Statistics we probably won't see again, and for him to have his last start here at the Longreach Jockey Club, it is very special, and it's a lot of race meetings these days isn't about the horse, the athlete, but today is all about Babs Cowboy. Look, I think the fact that he's a bush story. He was born, as well documented this week, on a hot day in Julia Creek, right in the middle of Queensland. He's been to all the regions, all 8 regions of bush Queensland. He's been piloted by so many jockeys out here in the west, so many jockeys that cut his teeth on the great Fabs Cowboy. Probably the biggest statistic for mine, he's a one club man, isn't he? He's been with Billy Johnson from day one, started in Miles, then to Bouldercombe, and now residing in Barcaldine. So each region, each part of Queensland has a piece of Fabs Cowboy in their history. Nerves aside, I don't think anybody could be in the shoes of Billy Johnson. We've seen this week a game well documented what this horse means to him, and I don't think anyone can take that away from him. So this is Johnson Racing's day, Fabs Cowboys' day, and let's kick him home.
Look, I love country racing, and I just think it's such a great story to have Australia's most winning racehorse in the modern era be a country horse. He's tried provincially, he's tried metro, and he hasn't had any success there, and that doesn't matter. He's still Australia's most winning racehorse, and how can you not promote that for country racing?
And it is like an incredible story. A horse that's won 54, that was born and bred in Julia Creek, northwest Queensland. Half the people don't even know where Julia Creek is, let alone a little horse that was born and bred there, and now he's getting race days named after him, going to Living Legends. It'll be, at least it's a different story. It's not your cookie cutter, he's won this Group 1, Group 2. He's a bush horse that's won 54 races, and no other horse has done that.
Would you do it all again?
Definitely, yeah, do it all again. But again, it's like Dad said, when he had Proud Mark, he's like, oh, I won't have another horse like this, and I think Cowboy's my one, will never have another horse like this.
Any chance you reckon Dad's watching?
It'd be nice to think that like a part of him is always riding with Fabs Cowboy, because again, without Dad, we wouldn't have Fabs Cowboy. Obviously, that's why we named him after him, but I would say he's there right along with him, hopefully.
In the bush, you don't get the ticker tape parade, you don't get anything like that, but this is as good as you can hope for the horse. Everyone's here, the blue and white here to support him, and we're at the shop today and someone said that, oh, they're there, this horse in the last race, you've got to wear blue and white for it, and it's like, we own that horse. It's like, Yeah, they've made a great day out of it. They really have. They've supported us the whole way through. They've really tried to help make sure we're all happy, and it's been really good.
If he's on his game tomorrow, you'll see a different horse when you come down and see him. But he looks about a hand higher, and I reckon about 40 kilos heavier. Like he'll puff up like a puffer fish. That's when he's on his game. We won't touch him in the morning. He'll go on the truck to Longridge, and if it's warm enough, he'll have a shampoo there and get his puffer fish face on. If he's right, he'll strut around and kick up and tail be in the air, and then when they bring the saddle out, you know if he's going to win or really go, he'll stretch right out and his belly will really touch the ground. That's when you know you're on. Brings himself down from 16, whatever he is, to about 12 and a half hands. Yeah.
Speak of this being the last chapter, but
yep.
There's a new chapter, is obviously about to begin as well.
Yep.
With Rodeo and Living Legends. What's that mean to you?
Yeah, it means everything to us. Like there'll be group horse and that there. That he'll be the only bush champion that's been there. Probably should have been a few others, but they probably hadn't started back then. But in the modern era, he's going to be the only bush champion there. I'm pretty proud of that.
Surely you don't float down and go visit him again?
No, I'll circulate down there. What's wrong with going around Australia one more time? But I won't fly down.
What if we get your business class, Billy?
Yeah, do all business. No business of mine.
He's pretty happy when we can keep at least one mare next to him. He'll cop a couple of big, quiet sort of geldings. But yeah, Living Legends will be interesting when he gets there, and I think he'll be wondering where all the ladies are.
The under-saddle program that they've got is well, we always want him there, and he would have gone regardless, but that's just the icing on the cake, the fact that he might be able to go and do dressage, do jumps, do something else with people, because he's not, you don't perform like this and then just want to give everything up. Like I'm old, I still want to try and play cricket, he's younger than me in equivalence, and he still wants to keep going, so the fact that he's got something he can go and do and not just going to sit in the stall, and it'd be very nice for everyone to see him, but the fact that he can still contribute and do things for someone somewhere, that's the best bit, I think.
Here we are at Longreach for his swan song, but his record's not that great at Longreach.
It's not, but it's also not that bad. 5 starts, 1 win, 2 seconds, 2 fourths. Always been in the money, so hopefully he can at least be in the money today.
Or win number 2.
Or win number 2. Well, I mean, win number 2 would be amazing, but at least be in the money.
No, it's just incredible, like to think this little foal that was in my backyard for 2 years or however I had him for, and now we're standing here doing interviews and a Farewell Fabs Cowboy race meeting, and everyone's got the hats and shirts, and it's just incredible.
And wouldn't it be great to see a fairy tale here this afternoon? I think the favourite going in will be the Hanger Cat, and there's a couple backed against him, but nobody here trackside today would begrudge those white and blue colours going past the post first.
Fairy tale, and the best way it could happen is about halfway up that straight. He's 4 clear, and we can all relax from there. Don't need to be riding him home. It's just fairy tale as he finishes. Finishes healthy, goes to Living Legends healthy. Next fairy tale is he wins. Next fairy tale is I'll wake up tomorrow unhealthy but happy.
Set to go the Farewell Fabs Cowboy Birdcage Sprint. The Hanger Cat $1.80. Starter Mr. Peter Ballard turns on the light. One just anticipating the start, might have been Deep Breath. Racing Without Shame was slowly into stride. Lily LA missed it as well on the inside. Lieutenant anticipated the start and's gone straight to the front over Heralbin, the Hanger Cat, the Squire. Fabs Cowboy lands 5th defence. New York World strike points there. Going back through the field now is Lily LA trying to make up for lost ground early, and last of all is Without Shame, 6 lengths off the leader Lieutenant, 700 metres from home. Lieutenant leads length and a quarter over Heralbin, the Hanger Cat. The Squire's in 4th, Deep Breath next. Then we've got New York World, Fabs Cowboys back with Without Shame drifting back strike point. And Lily LA is near the tail of the field, 500 from home. And Lieutenant is your leader. Heralbin breathing down its neck. The Hanger Cat all dressed up with nowhere to go. Deep Breath is around it. The Squire to the outside. Without Shame, Fabs Cowboy up the fence. They turn. 300 metres to go.
Lieutenant, collared by the Hanger Cat. The Cat goes to the lead. Heralbin runs on. Fab's Cowboy up the fence without shame and deep breath. The Hanger Cat strikes the front. Heralbin is trying ever so hard, but it's the Hanger Cat too good. The Cat wins again. 2 1/4 lengths over on the outside. Heralbin, Lieutenant, deep breath, Fab's Cowboy without shame. Then we had the Squire, who was a good run in behind him there. New York World, Strike Point, Ililia Lane. Nothing went according to plan. It's finished last. The Hanger Cat, the picket fence complete.
What a horse he's been.
Yeah.
Mate, you're going to make me work for it. Look, he's turned up today here in wonderful order. 12 years old, he's bouncing around like a button and off to living legends. And no doubt, as I've said to Paul and to Mel, it is a bittersweet day for the stables. And look, congratulations again, Billy. The longevity of the horse goes down to you and your team. And as I said, the way he's turned out here today, not a hair out of place. And look, he's been a true champion. And thank you for bringing him here for his last start.
Yeah, thanks, Longridge.
Thanks, mate.
Well, Billy, the final race has been run.
Yep.
We can't say won, but he goes out owing nobody anything.
No. Just safe and sound. He's pulled up good. Run about 6th, I think. So now the living legend. So
he was ready to go again.
Yeah, he was. That's it. He's a bit like me. Like, he was probably disappointed at all, and he gets the shits. If he was starting next week, he'd probably win. You've seen how he come out of the saddle and closure. Anyway, that's it, Paul. George.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon he knows?
Yeah, he knows. Probably body language, I suppose.
And what's plans for George and Billy now? Go home, have a cold rum, and think about it all.
He don't have to think about anything now.
He can relax.
Yeah, I'm going to start all over again. There'll never be another George.
No, it's been a ride, and there will never be another George. I think everyone thanks you for the journey. You know, the racing public, the people, the jockeys particularly. Any final words for George?
Good luck, mate.